All right, everyone, this is going to be another breakdown. This was a more recent match. I was actually there live for it. I was actually judging this one. But this will be a different perspective watching it here. So it should be interesting. It's going to be Felipe Pena versus Haisam Rida. Both these guys really good. The Felipe Pena has been around for a while. He's one of the best in the world at this weight. Haisam Rida, he kind of came on the radar from what I saw. I mean, I'm sure he'd done a lot of tournaments and things before, but this recent ADCC this year, I believe he armbarred Cyborg, I believe that's his name. But it was a pretty fast pace. He's extremely athletic, really fast. Just a really interesting role to watch. This will be a good match. I do remember the end, I think, but I don't recall much of the match in between. So let's check it out and see what happens here. All right, so let's see if we can get the, there we go. So, there I am right there. So we're going to go. So Pena automatically pulls guard. And Haisham's very, he's very twitchy. I'm going to pause it right here just because I kind of remember this match when it was going on. Haisam was getting kind of, I think there's a couple calls here during the match where he wasn't engaging. One of the rule sets for this particular venue is it's about, a lot of it's about aggression and going forward. A lot of guys are very touchy and they touch and they back out and they touch and they back out. They don't really want to engage. And this makes sense to a certain degree. You just don't want to dive into somebody's guard, especially somebody that good. So you have to be very careful how you enter the guard. You want to enter into the guard with what you feel is an advantageous position. And so this is why a lot of guys will be very careful how they enter the guard. But it can be taken too far. And certainly in events like this, it's going to count against you. And it was actually caught. It counted against him, Rita here for, I think for the first couple of rounds. So he actually gets called for it, but we're going to see a lot of that touch, go, touch, go, touch, go. And so touch, pull. See, it's okay. He went for a pass. This is good. But you see how twitchy he is and how quick it's. This is a good strategy. I mean, it's especially with you when you throw technique behind it. I'm not when you watch if you watch the difference between him and Pena moving, there is an element of stiffness and trying to use a lot of speed and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it works, especially for a guy that size and strength level. It'll certainly work. But when you get to levels like this, you'll start to see a lot of the guys. That are really good. They're pretty relaxed in their movements, and this is just because they understand positioning and timing very, very well. So when I was watching this, it was very apparent that Pena was much more relaxed, even considering Pena's in playing his guard. So what Pena's trying to basically do is he's trying to get some sort of connection here. He needs connection, specifically with his legs. If Pena can actually get his legs connected in some fashion, then he can actually start to play an effective guard. He can get connection. Without connection, he can't really do anything besides start to stand up and wrestle up, which may not be a bad idea. In this particular case, if Rita keeps backing up and doing this, as soon as Rita backs up, Pena could just wrestle up, especially if he gets an arm or an attachment to the leg with his hand. So see, in this kind of match, Rita's already behind here because he's not quite engaging. And now that he is engaging, you can see a little bit of an arm. He went for an arm bar there. He's trying to get connection. So again, he's just trying to hold onto the foot here to try to get an angle to go around. And he's using his hooks very well. He's using his hooks here to try to trip or to get a connection. Now so now he's calling it right here. The judge here is, I remember this part, he's calling him on it. He's just kind of giving a warning that he has to go forward. He has to engage. I mean, when a guy is butt scooting towards you and you're backing away, I mean, this is, and this, again, and with flow sports, this is counted against you. You know what I would be, I mean, again, Rita doing a good job. He's trying to just kind of gauge Pena's response. It's smart, but I mean, after a certain amount of time, it just doesn't, it stops making sense. He, he was doing a good job attacking the feet, Pena's feet, trying to put him on his back, and start to try to get an angle and go around the guard. So he's kind of allowing hand connection here, right there. So now Pena has him in a guard. He's trying to get a hold of his head to get some sort of head control to bring him down. And Rita very stiff here, like just really strong, very stiff. And guys when you go with guys like this, I mean, I always advise, like, don't match their stiffness, don't match their intensity. If you can, like, obviously you'll need to use, strength at certain points. You'll need to use a little bit of speed at certain points, but you sure don't want to match it with the whole time, of him, because this entire time he's very stiff. And now when he felt he was in danger, he just abandoned here. And this is, again, this is going to count against him, but he felt that he was in danger, so he tried to back out. But in backing out, this gives Pena the chance to wrestle up, which is what he did. He got connections with his arms around the leg, and now he's going to come forward and try to wrestle up. He's got the leg, a single leg. He goes for a trip. He doesn't get the trip, but he's still driving forward. They're going to go, okay, so right here, I remember this. He pulls guard. Rita's going to pull guard here. I don't think this is a bad idea because, Pena would have got him down. He would have been on his back. But I think pulling guard here with this overhook here, good strategy. Boom, got slammed on the ground for it. Okay, they're going to reset him here. Okay. They reset to the center of the match, the center of the mats. So I like what Rita's doing here. He's hand fighting. He's trying to get 2-on-1. In general, this is what you should be doing in a guard. Pena's reaching back with this right hand to try to pry his hand in there and try to open the guard. You have to watch out for triangles and things like that, but at this level, it'd be hard to catch Pena in a triangle here. Again, so Rita does a good job here. He has 2-on-1. I'd like to see Rita try to bring his knees to his chest, or to the right, at an angle to his chest, like bring his knees over in this direction or even in this direction, just to try to get Pena overcommitted in that space, because he does have a 2-on-1 here. Pena is directly fighting the hand grip here, breaks it away. Pena wants to get his hand on his hips so he can start prying his hips away from his. And he'd like to get his hand pinned to the ground. Okay, so right there, the reason why he's doing this is a technique we often use to break open the guard. If Pena could sit on his butt and throw this leg over top, he would be entering into a pretty solid leg lock. This is always a danger, especially nowadays with full guard positions. Guys, if they'll time it right, they'll sit back on their butt and they'll throw both the legs over the hips, and then the legs are isolated. From there, you can start to go into leg entanglements, and it breaks the guard. So he didn't quite get his leg over, but he is starting to get some extension. So he popped open the guard. That was more of, I'd say, Rita opening the guard because he felt he had an underhook here with this right hand, and he's entering into a bit of a K guard. Okay, so now the K guard, he's going to try to go inverted and attack this leg, creating distance. Okay, so he's shot over. Now he's over. He's attacking into the honey hole position. Pena's still doing good because his body's over top of Rita. If Pena starts to sit to his butt here, he's going to be in trouble. So he stays on top. Okay, so he's staying on top. So if you notice here, Rita has a reap leg. This leg is reaped over Pena's leg, but Pena has the leg bent and he has a hold of the head and he's pressuring he's putting pressure down. So this is going to be difficult for Rida to actually pry this leg up here by his head. This is going to be very difficult with that amount of pressure. So he's going to have to switch or go inverted. So he goes inverted and he switches to the side. If you notice, he still has his grip right here. Now he's going into a double outside ashi position. Straight armbar. He switches it to a 50-50 position. Now, in most cases, this can be pretty dangerous, but I've seen Pena, and Pena's very good at leg lock defense and even leg locks, but he's very good at leg lock defense and attacking the back. In this 50-50 position, you can already see he's starting to hide his heel. He's creating a stiff leg here, a straight leg is what we call it, and hiding the heel. Obviously, Pena does not want the big toe here to get stuck in the armpit, Rida. So he's automatically hiding his heel. But they're still in a 50-50 position. And Rida's okay with this, but notice the straight leg here. Okay, so now, Rida's starting to go around the corner. He can possibly produce knee bar positions, knee bar submissions here, if he makes it all the way around. Okay, so he's making it behind. He's making it around. So he could go into try for a knee bar here. He has to get his hips a little bit more over top, and he would have a knee bar and the leg in the armpit knee bar, which is probably one of the strongest knee bars you can get. But he really has to get his hips over in this direction. If he can't get his hips there, he's not going to finish. Or get Pena seated. So Pena's not going to sit here. Now you have to bear a little bit of that weight. Pena's trying to turn that corner, going back to 50-50. So 50-50 position, you can be stuck in this position for a very long time. So he went for it. There was a scramble, pulled the leg out. Now they're going to wrestle. Or maybe not. So Pena sits back down. So he's circling. This is fine. So he gets called here just because he doesn't want to see a lot more of that circling. I thought it was kind of an early call to call him on it, but I think it was just because he was doing it before. So he's circling. He really needs to engage here. Okay, going forward. Okay, he's got his connection with the hands. Okay, so now he's trying to occupy the inside position. He dove into the half guard. It's a bit of a quarter guard here. The good news is that he has his knee up. Rida has his knee up here shelved on the leg. So, he could potentially turn this into some sort of pressure pass or knee ride. He has to get past that knee shield and, Pena's arms, which is going to be very difficult. So he bails. So this type of strategy is going in and popping him and going back out. This is in this rule set. This does not look good. Yeah, so a lot more hand fighting. So right there, we ruled the blue. Pena's actually winning the match so far. All right, so right back into the half guard. And then he bails. So this is again, I've rolled with guys like this before, and it's you learn a lot from it. But it's difficult when they just disengage. It's not a terrible strategy, actually. No, you can disengage, and if you can disengage and you're not driving to somebody's guard, and especially somebody with a good guard, this is. But the reality is, I always tell guys, I'm like, you need to be able to navigate through somebody's half guard. Pena just basically has a half guard. It's not necessarily that, when he's bailing like that. there should be more of a battle there, like of him being able to use that half guard to actually pass. A lot of guys, when I teach passing, and a lot of other high level guys teach how to pass, it's basically the strategy is to get to half guard from top. If I can if I can get somebody to put me in half guard, I can begin. It's a lot easier for me to start to do my pressure passing. I certainly don't want to bail out of the half guard. Now, this could have been a strategy on his part and his team's part to any kind of entanglement starts to happen or it gets a little questionable, just to bail. And if that's the case, that's a good strategy, but not, again, it just looks bad. But in a regular training, I don't think it's that bad, but you're kind of dodging things that you should be kind of being able to navigate through. He's gauging distance. Again, he just sits in the half guard. So it's like, I mean, all that movement and all that hand fighting and all that stuff just to sit into the half again. This is, if you're just going to do that, you just sit into the half guard. I mean, if you're going to do that, I mean, I think he's doing that because he knows he has to engage, and if he doesn't, he's going to get penalized for it again. But again, this isn't a knock on Rida. I think you're going against Pena. I mean, I'd probably bail too on a lot of stuff. But I don't know. I think there's opportunity for him to actually, especially for his size and he's very long. He's got a long reach. He can get a hold of the head and start to really pressure pass. This or body lock. He's just not quite engaging. He's just kind of staying there. Then when he feels danger, he kind of bails. Okay, so now where he's putting a little more pressure in. That's what we kind of wanted to see. Trying to open the legs. He does have to worry about this, what Pena just did right here. He stuck his arm in there. This could turn into a false reap position, meaning that this Pena's left leg here could cross over Rida's hips here, and then Pena could invert and it could be in a honey hole position, and then Rida would be in a very difficult spot fighting out of a leg lock. It's also a calf slicer type position, but at this level, nobody really, I've never seen at this level really guys tap to calf slicers. Again, he bails. And maybe that was probably the best option in this particular case. But it's a pattern now. And, I think in that case, it was good to bail. I wouldn't want to get into a leg entanglement. But just notice how calm, Pena is here when he's going. I mean, he's just pretty calm, and just, okay, so now again, he sits back right into half guard, He's going to try it again. So Pena's getting control of the posture. Good. So I like what he did there. He went on the offensive, and it looks like he's trying to attack a Kimura position, which he did. He got to a Kimura. He flopped over to get to T Kimura position, which means that he's just on the out. He used it for the pass, popped over, and using the Kimura for control, and which is a very good technique and very legitimate move to do. He lost the Kimura position, and now he's back up. So that basically that flying Kimura that you can try, and you really have to have it locked in and have a really good understanding of the T Kimura position and actually how to control it. Pena just probably had a slightly better timing when he landed and was able to get his elbow to the mat, or and be able to kind of nullify the Kimura lock. So that was a good try. I mean, I like what Rida did there. He went for it and got a pass technically. I mean, he didn't establish the pass. And so now he's getting penalized for just the touch feel, and disengage. And I thought that was a good call. I thought it was a good call just to kind of get him more active and going forward. Again, it's the rule set. The rule set says you have to keep going forward or you'll get penalized. You have to go. The person going for submissions is going to be favored. The person with the better position and the controlling the positions and all the transitions is going to be favored. I mean, the rule set's pretty basic. Again, the circling. Just swatting away. And this is kind of can be a really frustrating roll at this point. You know, he's on his back, fine. He got to his back. But again, what does he do? Right back to half guard. Wild. So I was sitting here and I was thinking to myself, wow, I went back to half guard. All right, cool. Again, not a terrible strategy, you know. I mean, but I'd like to see a little more engagement when he actually gets into the half guard. You know, maybe weave the leg or, you know, try to do some pressure passing, but, you know, kill that top leg. Open the legs. And again, this is easy for me to say. I'm sitting here, you know, so, but, you know, Pena's very good. So, again, so he pulls away. One thing I teach at my gym is as soon as somebody's passing and they just pull away, like they disengage, like Rita's been doing here, you go forward and you wrestle up. It's an easy wrestle. So wrestle up. One of the more difficult things to do in wrestling, obviously, is to get somebody's leg or get under their hips or get connection with the leg. That's one of the hard part is the entry, right? So when you're in guard and somebody pulls away, you generally already have a connection with the leg. So all you really need to do is sit up and then you have a leg. So, I mean, the hard part is kind of done. I mean, you still got to get the guy to the ground, but the entry and the connection is done, which is great. So this is always a good kind of a default you should always be doing, which is if somebody is, even if you're just always a guard player and really not very good at wrestling, it doesn't matter. As long as you have basic understanding, you know, like a single leg or a double or a body lock and all these things, you can drag somebody to the ground pretty easily because you've already done the hard work. You've already got connection with the leg or you already got connection with the hip. So see, he was in his guard. Now he just follows him and sits up and he has the leg. And we'll see if he can get him down here. Yeah, he just drives in. So like that was nothing special. He just kind of just drove forward and then you know, Rita fell. Rita could have done some judo there. I would like to see because those guys do it a lot. I mean, I would like to see some uchimatas and things like that from that position, but it's okay. When somebody has a single leg on you, it's always a good idea to try at least to do an uchimata, just because that's, you know, it's a good setup for that judo toss. So now Pena's on top, and so we're going to see, and he's in a bit of a half guard here, or slight butterfly. But there's a big difference here. You know, Rita currently is flat on his back. And so Pena's actually in headquarters. Now, I like what Rita did here. He thread that leg through. Pena's just keeping that pressure in with his hips right here. He's going to frame on his face, which is not a bad idea. Pena just keeps that pressure in. Good frame on the face. Drawing the legs. Starting to get to an angle. Still in headquarters. Yeah, so you can see the difference in passing. It's the same position when Rita was on top, but you can see a slight difference here. You know, Pena's hips are driving in. You know, he's really engaging this half guard. He's bringing his hands back and trying to break the feet open and push the foot down and go into headquarters and you know, putting a frame on the face right there with his left hand, with his left arm right here. I mean, there's some activity happening here. You see that? Now he's starting to get chest to chest connection. Now, what happened here is Rita actually beat this leg. So, I'm sorry, Pena beat this leg right here. If you look at the beginning of the match when Rita was on top, Pena always had this knee shield right here, always in front to where Rita couldn't pass, right? But Pena has effectively, for now, got past this top leg. You know, the top leg and the top arm are always going to be the issue. Those are your best frames. And so specifically the leg. If you can get past that leg and get a body lock or get chest-to-chest connection like you see right here, you have a good chance of passing, especially Pena. So he's got a cross face. He's got him on a side. So this is most likely going to be a pass now that he has that angle. And he's just keeping that pressure in. His head position, trying to get him flat. If you notice, Pena put his head on the side and pressured in to keep Rita flat. He didn't want Rita to get on the side over here to start creating space. Okay, so I like what Rita had an idea to try to like turn and kind of wrestle up into like a dogfight type position. But you know, Pena was ready for that. It looks like he just transitioned to mount, which he did. The angle was not correct with that. His hips were one direction, the wrong direction. So he is doing something good here. Rita's doing a good job creating a wedge between him and Pena, and he's creating this frame right here. Whenever you're mounted, it is, you know, it's always just imperative that you keep your arms and your elbows down by your hips onto their hips, because he doesn't want his arms getting up there by his face, getting chicken winged up like a high mount. This is no good. This is much harder to fight out of, even though this may be miserable now that Pena has the cross face. And yep, he's just kind of okay. So he's basically just doing like what we call the mother's milk, and just kind of smothering Rita here. And what that forces Rita to do is turn to his side. And when he turns to his side, he's getting back exposure. He's not careful. Right there. So you can see that I could see that coming from a mile away. I mean, he was, as soon as that back kind of went off the mat, turned to the side, I can already see Pena looking at that angle to try to attack the back. I like what Rita did here is he kind of felt it coming too, it looked like, and he was ready to turn with Pena here, and he's grabbing I like this grip right here, trying to get that connection with the head so he can pull himself around the corner. And he didn't quite make it. Pena was able to follow him up. Now he's going to bring him back down. And now he has a body triangle. If you've seen any of my other breakdowns, anytime somebody puts a body triangle on, I'm like, ugh, it's brutal to get out of. There are certainly a lot of techniques you can use to get out of, but in live sparring and somebody who's good at a body triangle, even at the highest level, it is a pain in the butt to get out of. It's very difficult. Even in the training room, it's difficult. But there are techniques you can learn, and you should be drilling a lot to try to master and get out. And we do that a lot, working out of body triangles and bad positions. Always working out of bad positions. So this is going to be a really bad position. Body triangle set in. He's got a seat belt, I believe. Yes. So he has a seat belt, and this is no good. So and he's doing okay. So now he's across the neck, and now it's locked in, and then now it's going to be a squeeze. Okay, it's a tap. So just so you know, like this could be, a lot of people think sometimes this is a face crank. It can be, for sure. You can produce a face crank out of this, because notice that Pena's arm was not technically not under Rita's chin, but you can see his elbow here. It was almost lined up with Rita's chin here. Even when you tuck your chin, and if that elbow is near or close to under the chin, and you get it locked in like Pena had there, it'll actually produce a strangulation along with technically a face crank. So all totally legal, all totally fine, even in the training room. That's legal. Used to be a frowned on technique, but not anymore. So I just want to take a look at that one more time, just to kind of see where it kind of fell apart here. As soon as he got his back taken, right here. So I like what he used his hand here to control the choking arm. He's grabbing the thumb, which is good. He's grabbing around the hand. This is good. But this arm is not necessarily that effective at stopping this hand. What I would really like to have seen is, and again, this is very difficult in the moment, and especially with the amount of control, and you're tired, and everybody's watching. This left hand that's the one that he needs to get on this arm to kind of press down. Okay, so it's always the pushing arm, the pushing arm, not the pulling arm, that typically is going to be doing more a better defense, and especially in this particular case. So what I'd like to see is this right hand right here come up and get around the wrist in a downward motion, right? So that way he could have it. Now he would still have to contend with the seatbelt, but he would have a 2-on-1 basically. And if you notice, the 2-on-1 was never established. And as soon as Pena got a hold of the hand here, there's a general rule with the back attacks. And the idea is that whoever's hands are on top is in control. Okay, so if if Rida had his hands on top of Pena's hands, he could start to escape. He could actually produce a pretty decent escape here. And obviously, Pena wouldn't be able to strangle him. But since Pena now has both hands on top of his hands, this is going to be very difficult. And what happened here his hand right here was not able to become active to grab Pena's choking arm. And that was really, I think, what was needed at this point. Because Pena was able to get this hand over his hand. Now it's just a matter of timing. As soon as Pena pushes that arm down, he can go into a strangulation. Bang, right there. So you see he had his hand on top, and then he just switched real quick, and that was it. And then he pulls his hand out and covers his thumb and gets it the second time. Boom. See, Rida tried to reach for it, but Pena got his hand over his thumb before Rida was able to get his hand there. I mean, it's just a matter of a fraction of a second, and then it's over, right? But the whole battle is that thumb. If Rida was able to get a hold of that thumb, he would have been able to pull it down, possibly. But since Pena beat him to the thumb, he wins. So very good match. There's some other things I could add to this as far as like the way Pena was controlling. He was holding the wrists, not the hands, which is more of a way of connection and holding on versus holding the hands, which would be more of like manipulation, trying to push his hands down, right? Trying to push Rida's hands down below the waist so that he can trap him with his legs. But in this particular case, he just used it for connection. But this is what technically happened. Was the time was just a little better, and then that was it. Yep. So very, very good match. I think Pena was just just better in this particular match, and Rida's very, very, very good. I mean, kick my butt all over the place, but these guys are very high level. Pena he's one of the best in the world in my opinion, and if you look at his record, he technically is. But very, very good match. Really interesting to watch and to judge, and that'll be it. Next week I'll be doing another couple breakdowns, and they'll be getting posted up. All right, thanks.